Hey, happy Friday. Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast presented to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. It's game week. Arizona Cardinals at Carolina Panthers, your premier game preview. I'm Johnny Venerable, Bo Brock to my right, the great Frank Sanders to my left. And gentlemen, what are we talking about? Potentially a must-win for the Arizona Cardinals head coach Kliff Kingsbury, who, Bo Brock, you had a chance to speak with today. And pressure's starting to mount on the fourth-year head coach. They hear it from the fans. What say you? Is this a must-win for Kliff?
This is a big game, pivotal game for Kliff Kingsbury to kind of get everybody to get off his back, get off his case. It's time that this organization, this team, plays coaches with a sense of urgency. Like, no more about this country club preseason and we're going to get it together. We've got to coach better. We've got to play better. We've got to execute better. It's time to do it. It's been 3 weeks of football. It's been 11 of 12 quarters that have been unacceptable for this organization. They've got an opportunity right in front of them. And if you want to talk about rock bottom, that would be a Monday where you're picking up the pieces after a loss, another loss to Matt Rhule and the Carolina Panthers. You can't have that. At some point, Kliff Kingsbury has to speak up. He's got to conjure whatever he's got inside and say, this is what I need from you. This is the game plan. It's better than Matt Rhule's. For the love of God, please be better than Matt Rhule's game plan and go execute and get that dub. Even the record at 2-2, because I do truly believe that if they can get to 2-2, all this nonsense in the past, we can really just be like, okay, this team's in a spot, a decent spot, to kind of set themselves up for success once DeAndre Hopkins gets back, Frank.
Kliff is he does not have to worry about anything. I don't think this is a time to even think. There's no gasoline next to his job title at all. I think he could sleep comfortably knowing that I still got pieces that are not on my team yet. It could get ugly before it gets prettier.
You think he's got built-in excuses?
I think he does. I think he has that. I think those are additive to when he says why we're not completing and doing the things we did before. Last year, this team was better on the onset. When you look at them on the roster, completely better than they are right now, from a defense perspective as well as from an offense perspective. And right now, I think that they're giving him that little bit of grace. We can do it again with some more grace. You want to give him some more grace? How about this here? None of the starters played in preseason. So now they're in week 3. And so hopefully week 4, they've kind of got their leg. They got their sea legs under them. Joke, right?
Yes.
Hopefully they got their sea legs under them after 3 games. And then they know how to play 4 quarters of full 4 quarters of football. And I think that sometimes you take that for granted when you're playing, when you're giving passes on the preseason, and you think that you just can come out and play because you're training these guys and working them out. Well, honestly, the only thing that allows you to really feel like you're ready for 4 quarters of football is playing football, and these guys got none of that. So I don't think it's a hot seat just yet. Just yet.
It's interesting. Hello to Isaiah in the chat. What's good, my man? PR Matt, good coaches find ways to win. No excuses. Jason Sandoval, the roster issue is all on Keim this season. His ass should be on fire right now. He's been with the organization 20-plus years. These are 3 people that agree with you, Jason. Jordan P., defense needs to step up. Kliff runs a wide receiver-led system with all of our wide receivers hurt. Hey, listen, I've been saying that all week, Jordan. Bo Brock doesn't want to hear it. I'm with you. I feel like that the offense has...
Which wide receivers?
Well, let's talk about it. Rondale Moore has not played up until this point. AJ Green has underperformed. Antoine Wesley's hurt. DeAndre Hopkins is out. I think you're overly dependent on Greg Dortch, who wasn't a factor. Hollywood Brown, who, yes, is, a 1,000-yard receiver. It's his first year with the team, starting with a new offense. So I am more lenient with Kliff. People probably don't want to hear that.
Sure.
I am much more stingent on Vance Joseph. I like
Kliff
the person.
Nah, you love Kliff.
He's always good to
you
me
love Kliff.
when
you love Kliff.
I don't
Just say
love
it.
him.
Now, hold on.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
You love Kliff. I think that we don't. Me and Bo like him, but you
Kliff.
love him.
He is easy for me to root for. I like that.
But if he loses on Sunday to Matt Rhule for a third straight time,
we will do a post-game show.
It's indefensible.
Absolutely eviserate him. It is indefensible. 100%.
He's your best friend from high school.
This is not.
He's your best friend from high school that you defend. That you lay down in traffic for, right? But at some point, he does something that's indefensible. He hits on somebody's wife or something.
Could you imagine?
Like, I can't anymore.
Kliff Kingsbury was your wingman in Old Town Scottsdale. How well you would do. That's how I feel about Kliff Kingsbury. He's my NFL coach wingman. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to deliver, right? I can't be going home with that 3 or a 4. I need an 8 or a 9, Kliff Kingsbury. Take care of business and help me, please.
But this is the problem, though. Carolina is a 3. It's like if you go
Right.
And Kliff Kingsbury is your wingman,
Yeah.
and you don't even get the 3 at this point now.
Yeah.
Good
Then that's
point,
a
Bo.
problem.
Good point, Bo.
Then you're ignoring
Yeah.
me. You're taking care of yourself. You're on the phone. You'd rather be somewhere else. Kliff, I need you
You're
to
probably
be in the,
texting an ex.
That's
not
right.
good.
I need you to be in the moment with me, slumming it on the pool table. Let's get it together. And with all seriousness, it's at the end of the day, it's a win now business. I don't care how you get it done Sunday. You have to find a way to get those 53 men to play hard for you. And I think the biggest issue that we've seen right now is the Cardinals have no sense of urgency to begin games. Their first quarter is amongst the worst, if not the worst team in the NFL. They haven't scored a point in the first quarter this year. Their defense is terrible to begin the game. And so I would just challenge Kliff. Can we get a fast start, please? Can we not be playing from behind? This team, not sure if you guys knew this, has not led in regular season at all this year. They won the overtime game. That's it. So I think getting off to a fast start against Carolina, whether that's field goals or whatever, turnovers, forced by Baker Mayfield and company, that's what Kliff has to do.
No, and we talk about those 10 to 15 plays that are scripted. I mean, what's going on with those? I mean, we haven't seen them.
Those are supposed to be your best plays.
Right, they're supposed to be your best plays. I heard it actually put best this week. My guy Jody Ayler at Fox Sports 910. It's like an adult film script. That's the quality of it. Because if you've ever seen one of those, it's not the best writing, right?
Yes.
It's just, as far as the Cardinals
Why
go,
didn't you think of that? That's good
I
stuff.
wish it is good stuff. I can't come up with something that clever, but yeah, I mean, the 10 to 15 plays, they have to execute. There's a couple plays last week where I think Kyler Murray wished he had him back. There was a big third down play where Greg Dortch, they picked up the blitz, and Greg Dortch was a hot receiver, and he missed him.
Yeah.
It was just a bad throw by Kyler, and he just needs to hit on those simple bunnies. I mean, Kyler's an accurate quarterback. When it's key situations, especially early, that sense of urgency is lacking, and they're not picking up the yardage that they need. They need to be so much better on third down. I mean, even in the win, they were terrible on third down. That's outlined in Howard Baltzer's latest article. It's just like, for whatever reason, they're concentrating on fourth down.
Yeah.
But on third down, what the hell's going on? It's kind of like they're winning on the road, but they can't win at home. Like, where's the focus, Frank?
Look, typically on third down, that guy is your go-to guy, and that would be our DeAndre Hopkins without a problem, or Zach Ertz. And we're having to kind of rely on Gregory Dortch. Well, we have to look at what defensive schemes that these two guys that we're getting and seeing in that window of opportunity, which is if Kyler favors a little bit of Hollywood Brown and he's double covered because they know he's the number one target, and they do the same thing to Zach Ertz, it kind of offsets his passing game. That's why we might see him, pump and pass, pap the ball a little bit more than he needs to. This team is in a position right now, man, to really kind of prove to themselves their worth. I'm a little bit more happier now that they're going on the road because they seem to be better on the road than they are at home.
Yeah.
That's just their narrative, whether they start fast or not. It just seems like they know how to win on the road, and that's something that I don't know if it's a concentration here. Jordan P. asked a question in the chat, and he said, if the O-line doesn't make their blocks or if the wide receivers keep dropping passes, then can we blame this on Kliff? And I would say absolutely not. Everyone has to be accountable. But the argument you're hearing from us is the accountable comes from, are these guys do not look like they're ready to play.
And that's coaching.
And that you would say you would believe that would be coaching and what's taking place. I would agree in this I will say this here. Sometimes it's not. I said it last week, and I said honestly, the guys that looked like they came ready to play was like the Hollywood Browns. He was talking trash every ball he caught. Yeah. He was serving Jalen Ramsey, and he wanted that. He wanted that heat. Our offensive line did not look like they wanted the heat of Aaron Donald and that front four that they had. It did not look that way. Zaven Collins like he came to play. A couple of those guys on defense they looked like they really came to play. J.J. Watt, as long as he was in there, he looked like he came to play. And I think sometimes when you look at that, these guys right now have to look at themselves. We don't have great leadership on this team. I'm saying Kyler is our starting quarterback.
Isn't that supposed to come from your head coach, though? Everybody can look at Kliff Kingsbury, fourth-year guy. Kliff, you were supposed to be in a position where you could leverage now some security with this contract extension, and instead it's like we're at the point where it's week to week with you with this fan base, and if I'm Kliff, it's time to challenge some people. I'm sorry, the effort offensively was not good enough last week. The inefficiencies, as Mike A. in the chat saying, people – receivers hitting the ball in their face and not being ready to catch the ball, and then Kyler, not playing his best. I mean, we love Kyler Murray. He could play better than he did last week. Absolutely missing reads and that kind of thing. When it's everybody jointly, that's on the coach. If it's one singular player, like the A.J. Green series that he had 2 weeks ago against the Raiders where it was clearly like he was dropping passes, it's a little bit easier to put ownership on a singular entity. But when it's everybody every week, you look at the start of that Rams game. Special teams were terrible. Defense was bad. Offense was bad. All three phases. That's the head coach, point blank. And it's gotten a lot of people to say, like, will the Cardinals pivot from Kliff Kingsbury? Would the Cardinals move off of Kliff if it starts to unravel? And so it was interesting today. I was talking on PHNX Bets Daily Podcast with my guy Shane Diefenbach at noon. Like, what do you think that buyout looks like for Michael Bidwill? Because I know everybody wants Sean Payton, and you got two things working against you. Number one, I think Sean Payton will have better options. I'm just going to be frank. I love this franchise, but you get the Chargers and Justin Herbert. That could be an option. The Dallas Cowboys, infinite funds with Jerry Jones and the shitty NFC East. And then secondly, Michael Bidwill, if he fires Kliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim, because I think if one gets fired, the other gets fired, you're talking about eating $50+ million. And they're hosting the Super Bowl this year, Bo, and you've got a lot of money coming in. But Kliff's, let's just focus on Kliff. His first contract, $5.5 million a year, right? This is the last year of that deal. He got a 5-year extension. So at minimum, if it even mirrors that contract, over $30 million. And I think it's slightly more. I know you think it's way more. So on the high end side, it could be $40 million. Would you think Michael Bidwill would be in a position to just eat $40 million?
I mean, it's week 4.
But that's where the pulse of the fan base, though, is they want to know.
Look, yeah, I mean, it's a bit premature, and we definitely have to see what happens on Sunday. And I'll say this again, another loss to this Carolina team that up until last week had lost 9 straight football games. And Baker Mayfield is not the difference maker, right? I mean, Baker Mayfield, they won maybe in spite of Baker Mayfield at sometimes, or perform better not because of Baker Mayfield. I think that if you lose to Matt Rhule for a third time, you really have to say, I mean, what are we doing here?
Right. What's the philosophy of your organization? Soul Pancakes, shout out for the $5 super chat. I don't know what Vance plans, but every time they played the Panthers, they give up 150+ yards rushing and 30 points. That's unacceptable in year 4. No more excuses. And listen, Kliff goes, Vance would go. And I am more down on Vance than anybody. And I think right now the Cardinals are giving up some of the highest yards per carry to anybody. They got Cam Akers right last week. You know Carolina's going to want to run the football.
Yeah, they're absolutely going to want to set the tone with Christian McCaffrey, who practiced for the first time this week today. He had that quad injury, and he's a guy that should give Arizona Cardinals fans a nightmare. I mean, he had that one play where he went untouched. Was it 76 yards to the house?
Yeah.
It's just one of those plays that you see every year, and it haunts you if you're a Cardinals fan. You just don't want to see that again. And you know what Christian McCaffrey can do each and every play. But last year, the biggest thing was the offense coming out of the gates. It was a Colt McCoy game. It was Colt McCoy's poorest performance of the season, and that Panthers defense came out and punched him in the mouth. They forced the turnover. Hassan Reddick comes up, forces the fumble, right? It's on a short. They had short field after short field after short field. I think that's more an indictment on the offense. And then, of course, they're playing with a lead. They're racking up rushing yards. Arizona Cardinals, the biggest way to combat that is a hot start of their own on the offensive side of the football. I think that's just something that's been lacking during this slump that they've been in dating back to last season.
I expect this team to be better. I really do. I think that, the first 3 weeks, when we first everyone got the schedule, we knew we was facing the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Rams. And it was not, you could easily have said we would be 0-3, and then we start from there, and then we see where we're going to go from there. Because we have some easy teams that we feel like we can go out and beat, that being the Panthers, and follow behind that with the Seahawks. So right now is the starting point. I think this is where we start and really start looking at our team for what they really are. We can give the pass on the preseason and say, well, it was preseason. I would do that just as a former player. And I'd also say the reality that we was playing some of the best 3 teams in the NFL. Being the Rams, the Raiders, and as well
3
as
playoff teams from last
year.
year.
And so you got to look at it from that perspective. So the fan base has rights to gripe because there's a lot of stuff that happened. A lot of stuff just to carry over from the offseason. Like no real draft picks that we thought would have fixed our defensive line. Not going out and really getting guys. So that stuff's kind of just to carry over. But if we go to Carolina and get a win, guys put up some significant numbers, and then we get that Matt Rhule off our chest. Kliff does his job, and then they come back. I think we can start from there and look at our team and say what we have. And then with the anticipation of players coming back from injuries, Rondale Moore is potentially coming back, and see how well he fits in the system, him and Gregory Dortch. And then also we can look forward to seeing D Hops in week 6.
Yeah, I want to get into the practice report with you, Bo, here in a minute, but I want to remind everybody right now on DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win, get $200 in free bets if they do. My DraftKings pick of the week. The Cardinals line has gone up and down. It was initially -2.5, then it was -3.5 for Carolina. It's gone all the way down to -1.5. So people are betting on the Panthers. So Vegas said, let's bring that down and make it a pick'em. So it's basically a pick'em. The Cardinals, I mean, I would feel good about that if you're a fan. It basically says flip of a coin. We'll see who wins. But if that's not enough, right now on DraftKings, everybody can boost their winnings with DraftKings step-up same-game parlays. Right now, every leg you add can boost your winnings up to 100%. I did this last night. Didn't make any money. My bets were wrong in the Dolphins-Cincy game. But you bet your ass I played around with the payouts even bigger than ever. To make things even sweeter, you can throw down a step-up same-game parlay once per day. Once per game day. So it's not a one-time, you're done. You can do it Sunday, then run it back on Monday Night Football all season long. It's simple. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code PHNX. That's promo code PHNX at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See those show notes for details, Bo.
It's the reason for the season. It's pumpkin porter. It's the premier pumpkin beverage, I think, in the world, maybe in the universe.
It's the best pumpkin beer I've ever had.
It is, yeah. It's step-aside pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin porter. That's the real deal right there. And it's Four Peaks that makes it. They drop it at the end of each August, and it runs through the fall. It's delicious. You got a golden lager over there, Frank, Four Peaks. We've got some cool events coming up. You got to stay tuned. We're going to announce those. But you got to be 21 years or older. Drink responsibly when you're enjoying Four Peaks or any alcoholic
The
beverage.
pumpkin porter cheesecake is so good,
Oh
by
my
the way.
goodness.
You might recognize that voice, by the way.
God.
Former
It's
producer
Leah. I'm back.
We love Leah.
Yep.
Emma, much-deserved day off. She'll be back producing the show on Sunday. Leah is here, and full transparency, we were undefeated at one point last year with Leah as our producer. So we thought, okay, Emma, sit this play out. We're going to bring Leah in, the enforcer. We're trying to get this dub on Sunday.
Right.
And as we look ahead towards Sunday, Bo Brock, pretty robust injury report for the Arizona Cardinals on Friday.
It'll take your breath away if you look at it. If you don't know like the context of it. If you just look, if the literature right there, if you look at it, I mean, we knew AJ Green was out. He's got the bone bruise. I saw him walking around today. It's a little encouraging. He's not limping around. He looked okay, but 34 years old. It's probably out this week, and then we'll see next week. Rashard Lawrence, he had that hand surgery. Kliff told me today that they got to have that where they cut in and did the procedure on his hand. They've got to have that wound heal a little bit before he's ready to go again. So next week might be too optimistic for Rashard Lawrence to get back on that defensive line for the Arizona Cardinals. So look for somebody like Jonathan Ledbetter to play a bigger role. Maybe they elevate Manny Jones, something to pay attention to PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter for. We'll give you the who's elevated comes Saturday. And then Zeke Turner, guy, special teamer, linebacker. He's out with the ankle injury, but he looks like he's trending to maybe get back next week. But then we get to a very curious part of the list. Like Marquise Brown, he practiced all week. Then he got the vet day. Yeah. Then he practiced on Thursday, and then he was limited today with an ankle injury. Or is that what they're saying? Foot.
It's a foot.
Yeah, it's a foot. So we'll see what the deal is. He's not. I don't think he's in any. There's no way he's not playing. I think Hollywood Brown's going to be there. Zaven Collins told us all that he's feeling good. Shoulder, it's not the shoulder he injured last year. It's the other shoulder. He's feeling fine. He's good to go. So no threat there. Rodney Hudson, fine. I would assume he's there. And
just assume Rodney and JJ are on there all year.
Rondale Moore, JJ Watt. I think both those guys play.
So you think everybody questionable there plays Sunday?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
That's good news for Cardinal fans because, again, we've had some surprises. We had some surprises certainly week 1. Week 2, we're waiting for Rondale Moore and Frank Sanders. What kind of impact could number 4 have? And can it finally get the Cardinals into the end zone this weekend?
I think he'll be a surprise. I think his speed on the outside, he'll probably replace, AJ Green, and then you'll have him, Dortch, Ertz, and then you also have Hollywood Brown. That's just speed on speed on speed.
Yeah.
That's just speed.
That should be enough.
That should be enough. And I think that smaller receivers do create problems for bigger DBs at times. They're a little more shifty. Rondale Moore will definitely be an additive. I think that if we can find a way to get the ball to him early on a deep route or some crossing route, something like that, we can see some explosion out of him. I think he'll add, and he'll give the confidence that he needs, which he hadn't played. So that in itself says we don't know what really to expect out of him because he hadn't played much. He hadn't played at all or practiced much at all. And so that to me is going to be something, but he has a year under his belt. And I appreciate that more now looking back at it. He has a year under his belt. So, but those 3 guys, they could create some problems. They got a lot of good speed, some fast and shifty. Coach just got to be creative, man, and find ways to get him the ball. And I think the idea, what you look to see primarily is you want to see how well Kyler feels about those guys.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what you want to see because if you have a big receiver, you're always looking for that back shoulder throw. But these guys are going to run by guys. And so it might not be the back shoulder throw. It'd be the Andy Isabella. I'm throwing it to the corner of the end zone. Get there.
Yeah.
I'm throwing it 20 yards before you ever get to that spot because you got the speed to get there. And so I'm looking forward to see what he brings to the table. And this crew. Small receivers are not a bad thing. Remember the Smurfs back in the days? They ate the league up. Miami Dolphins with Dan Marino.
Yeah.
You guys weren't born then. But Dan Marino, they had small receivers, Nat Moore and those guys, and they ate the league up, man. And I think that, if you find that rhythm, it's going to be something pretty special to watch.
I see Sean Hamm had a question or just saying a statement that was true. Is seriously need some height at wide receiver. Antoine Wesley, a guy who's eligible to return after this week, told reporters who'd asked him, you're going to be ready to go. He said, that's the plan. That's the plan from Antoine Wesley. He certainly has the height, right around 6'4", 6'5", and if A.J. Green can't get back, maybe Wesley reclaims that role he had at the end of last year.
They have this tight end that's 6'5".
So here's what I was going to say.
That they took in the second round.
Not that tight end, but the formation that's curious to me is a, I don't know if you call it.
It better not include Steven Anderson.
No, it's where you've got pretty much two slot wide receivers, right? So it's going to be Moore and Rondale Moore and Greg Dortch playing the slot spots, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then you've got Hollywood Brown playing the X, and then you've got Zach Ertz playing the Z.
Yeah.
And that's going to be one that I think we'll see on display come Sunday.
Tight end, not in 3-point, standing up on the outside, putting two
outside.
Wow.
Jordan P in the chat.
Nice.
Bo, did Hollywood injury come from practice? I wonder what's up with that.
It's possible. I mean, we only saw the injury report after everybody left the facility. And we see when I saw Hollywood Brown stretching, he looked fine. When I saw him get together in his position groups, he looked fine. When I saw him in the post-practice locker room, he was walking around fine. So there's no issue. There was no indication before the injury report that he was going to show up there. That's why I'm not really concerned that he's going to miss this game.
We got a question for Frank. PR Mac asking, Frank, what'd you do to turn up the intensity in the locker room?
Oh, when we got ready, it was all, man, it was all yelling. It's just like that moment in the game, like that, that song that says, "We ready."
Yeah.
So we had those kind of moments, and you had the veteran guys that you knew was real dogs in the locker room, man. They said what you needed to hear. For 4 quarters of football,
do the Cardinals have an alpha like that on offense with Hopkins out?
I think JC's that guy. I think James Conner. I don't think he bites his tongue at all. I think JC will get in anybody's face, whether it's offense or defense. And I think they understand that he's the brute. One of the guys that wants that energy. He wants that heat.
Yeah.
He wants that energy. Give me the ball. I'll go through anybody for you guys. And I think that's on that. DJ Humphries, I mean, where is he at? Like he was a guy who had a mouthpiece.
People around, yeah.
I mean, he had. I'm saying, but he's one of the premier one of our premier offensive linemen.
He's had a good year. DJ Humphries had a good year.
A new contract on the table, and so he's one of those guys that should have a voice on the offensive side of the ball. James Conner is a guy that should have a voice. I hear Zach Ertz he's real chill, but he knows how to get his piece across. And I think those are the things that you need to have guys. When you get in the huddle. And you look each other in the eye and say, okay, guys, let's go get it. We got to get it on first down. Hey, I'm coming to you, Bo. Be alert. If it's not there. And you talk this thing out because you know what your opponents are trying to do. I think these guys are still trying to get that game speed up on those guys. And I think once they figure it out, what teams are trying to do to them, it's going to be, it should be better for these guys. They should be confident.
Yeah.
Because they played the Chiefs. One of the best teams. They played the Ravens.
Yeah, the Panthers have been playing a lot of the Giants. They should be confident
in what they were able to do.
The Saints, not great offensive teams.
Yeah. But as far as James Conner being the guy, 31-0 in the first quarter. On average, you're down double digits by the end of the first quarter. You can't. It's tough to get a running back involved, let alone him kind of be, the guy leading the charge. It's just they've been out of it. I would love to see them get something established, get him involved.
But his leadership doesn't have to be making the plays. That's the essence of the guy that you want to see for 4 quarters. That's the part you want to hear a guy still talk. I want you still saying something to me, despite if the ball's coming to you or not. If you're getting 25, if Hollywood doesn't catch a ball that day, did you run all your routes fast? Did you do what you're supposed to do to open up for somebody underneath? That's the stuff you watch on film, and these guys are probably watching on film. Stuff we're missing. That when you get back in the film, when you start looking at stuff, you're like, man, that motherfucker, he didn't do it. God, Coach said,
Katie Isabella, you stop running your route.
That's and you saw how Kyler got him on the sideline. Yeah, because that's the stuff that
we won't see Andy this week on offense.
So that's the part.
Can't imagine. So it makes me think about, gentlemen, these two teams kind of mirror each other right now. It's like none of these teams do anything well. And if you're talking about the Arizona Cardinals, like, how is this team? What are you supposed to have this team hang their hat on? Like, ideally, defensively, what are they supposed to be great at? I think theoretically, you got a loaded maybe secondary with a couple really supremely gifted safeties. So takeaways, as Budda Baker forced the fumble, like maybe that's when the defense is at its best. Opportunistic, like last year. But then offensively, Bo Brock, like, if perfect world, if this team was humming, what do they do well on offense?
On offense, I mean, I think that they
like if it's a perfect box score and we look at it Sunday afternoon, what has to happen?
It's a perfect balance of getting that rush pass offense going. I mean, when you saw them rush close to 150 yards per game, and then you saw Kyler Murray get upwards of 250 plus, almost 300. And, they had just that great balance going. But when you're down and you can't get your first team offense essentially out there because you can't run that traditional offense, you're playing catch up, and you've got Darrell Williams in there, you've got Eno Benjamin, you don't have James Conner in there, then you don't have that steady voice that you've been working with all week long practicing. It just throws a wrench in it. You wish they were more prepared for those situations, right? But you want them. I mean, the thing that really worked for the first 7 games of the season, where they were so successful, where they come out of the gates, they come out strong, and they build leads, and then they get a turnover, and then build on top of that, and then bury teams. Like that recipe. I mean, we haven't seen it for
it's
far
the start
too
fast
long. And
recipe.
when you've got a team like Carolina, and they have this false confidence because they won a fucking football game for the first time in forever, right? And they're like, hey, we got some defensive players.
You can't feed into that.
No, but Carolina thinks that they're big.
Well, that's what I mean. If you're the Arizona Cardinals, you can't feed into the fact.
No, it's like
them
when they were playing the Jets a couple of years ago, and Joe Flacco. I'm like, well, look at his playmakers, or look at it. They've got this guy and this guy. People get scared off by like single players. The team overall is not that. Like, Carolina is not a good team. It's not well coached. Arizona Cardinals have to be just the better organization overall, and just go in there and just get an easy win.
Sean Hamm in the chat, need some players like Carlos Dansby, Darnell Dockett out there on defense. I mean, they're trying, brother. They're trying to get those players in the draft. And who's to say Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins, they're not the next group, but they got to play. And I think that's the most frustrating part is, like, we know, the three of us know, Nick Vigil and Ben Neiman and Tanner Vallejo are not part of this team's future. They were not a top 10 draft pick, which means play Isaiah Simmons for better or worse. Let them blossom into that player. I want to get to some more of these comments. Jordan P., yards per attempt have to be much higher for Kyler. I agree. His yards per attempt, he's not stretching the ball downfield. Part of that is the offensive line is not blocking well early in games. I think that's key. Yards per attempt has been above Justin Fields. Can't get down early and be one-dimensional. And it really felt like the Rams played into that last week, where they're like, yeah, you can nickel and dime us all you want, and you're going to make a mistake. Whereas the Cardinals last year, during that hot start, it was deep balls to Kirk. It was deep balls to Rondale Moore and Hopkins and company. I think with Rondale Moore's return, and AJ Green had a couple big plays as well. We have not seen Kyler and Hollywood Brown, his best friend, connect deep. I think that would be absolutely a welcome sight come Sunday.
It's last year Kyler had more big play passes, which is 25 yards or longer, than Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, guys that played similar amount of games. Kyler might have played less than that, and he had more than those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that he's accurate. He's got 3 through 3 games, 2 of those to Greg Dortch and 1 to Hollywood Brown. That's not enough. Right?
Jose in the chat, receivers can't get yak. Well, Rondale Moore's game is built on yak.
That's not true. The Cardinals are second in the NFL in yak.
Yeah, Greg. All right, let's be nice to Jose. Greg,
I'm just saying,
Greg Dortch can get
for
yak.
real?
Yeah,
I did not know
Hollywood
that.
Brown's going down.
Wow.
Basically right away. So is Zach Ertz. So I agree with you, Jose. It looks like. I mean, Hopkins is built in yak. So is Rondale Moore. You get those guys back, you're in really good shape.
No one fears us.
That is absolutely true.
Last year they feared us. Like, they feared our offense, what we had. They feared our defense. I mean, we had Chandler Jones, J.J. Watts, we had Phillips, we had some guys. We still had we had Jordan Hicks, and then you just look at our outside. We had guys. You feared us. They don't fear us now. And I mean, the game planning right now is attack Kyler, and then everything else we'll figure the rest out.
Make Kyler uncomfortable.
Yeah, and every now and then they'll double team Hollywood because they know he has opportunity. They'll just keep a guy over top because he's definitely deep ball down in downtown Hollywood Brown, but he's Camelback Brown. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's Camelback Mountain Brown. So, but that in itself says they don't fear us right now, and I think that's the part where when you see when you see our players come back together, and when you see what D-Hop's bring to the table and how teams have to play against us and we'll have more one-on-one opportunities in that manner, it changes the narrative. So guys, I'm really optimistic about where we can go from here on up. I don't look at it now. Looking at those first 3 games, I wasn't disappointed. I knew what we was getting because we didn't play in the preseason and what to expect. What can you expect?
Playing with a little bit, not house money, but it's like I thought they'd be much more competitive against the Rams. I thought they found something against the Raiders. And listen, like plenty of teams have made the playoffs before the 17-game season when they started 1-2. The Cardinals in a bad NFC, they win this weekend. They are so very much alive. I outlined it on Twitter. You get Jameis, you get Jimmy G twice, you get the Seahawks twice, the Falcons, the fledgling Patriots. Like, we're gonna worry about this week, but like the season is very much obtainable to still get to 8, 9, 10 wins, be in the playoff mix. I want to get to a comment here. Jordan P saying they will fear us when Hopkins, Hollywood, Rondale, and Dortch are all on the field. We just got to stay alive, brother, until we get to that point.
Correct.
And I think that's what we're preaching right now is like, this is a winnable game without most of those players. So if you're Kliff Kingsbury, we need to tap into the Kliff Kingsbury Bo Brock that went to Seattle and won last year with Colt McCoy and went to San Francisco and won without DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. And not only won, but convincingly beat the shit out of Kyle Shanahan's team and sent them to 3-5. Right. I mean, that's the kind of Kliff. Where is that Kliff this year?
Right? Or you got to be more like that San Francisco team too that was 3-5 where everybody was counting them out.
Yeah.
Where everybody is just dogging on the Arizona Cardinals. You've got LaShawn McCoy, who was retired by the NFL. He didn't retire from the NFL.
He ruined Endgame.
The league retired him, right? But he's talking like he called Kyler Murray trash. Just flip it. It's trash, you know? And I think that the Arizona Cardinals right now are an easy target, especially by the national media. And the way you change that is winning games. And the only chance to win a game is against your next opponent. And it just happens to be Carolina Panthers, and it's a big opportunity. But if you don't, the narrative continues. And it gets worse. And guys can continue to just spout off whatever nonsense they want with watching one game against the Los Angeles Rams that they happen to turn on Sunday, Frank.
Go ahead.
We have to be better in primetime moments than we was last year. And the guys got to rise to the occasion. I'm pretty sure, and it was bad. Like, it's just like you thought we was going to do something with the Rams and then found a little formula, and it did not work out that way. We have to rise to the occasion in primetime moments. Our guys got to get to that moment where they feel like everything is a sense of urgency. Yeah. They will get there. I see the talent that we have on our team. I see what Vance is trying to do with this defense, and I see what Kliff has in his offense. It's still stagnant in some ways to me, but I believe that as Kyler gets his players and some guys come back, it'll be a big difference. And look, sky's the limit right now. It really is for us. We've gone through really one of the toughest stretches, and we saw it that we could have gone through. And right now, this team, man, we'll go to Carolina, and I guarantee a win.
Wow.
I guarantee a win.
I love that. I love this from Jordan P in the chat.
Take that, Sean McCoy.
Calling it right now. Trey McBride TD on Sunday. I'm all for it, brother. And you can do that and bet on that right now. Underdog Fantasy. Not sure if you guys heard about this. You can search it in the App Store. Click on the show notes. Sign up with promo code PHNX. We play every Sunday. You should too. Can bet on player statistics, high or low. I'm not sure if I'd be touching any of the players in Cards Carolina because of the inclement weather, but we'll see. If you feel like James Conner's going to have a big day, check him out at Underdog Fantasy. That's Underdog Fantasy with the promo code PHNX and get in, ladies and gentlemen, on the action today.
Sean and I actually did the Underdog Fantasy show yesterday and had pretty good success. Just forecasting Thursday Night Football,
Wow.
Tyreek Hill over on the receiving yards. I think that was the biggest slam dunk of the week.
Okay.
But Underdog, man, it's one of those things you'll get addicted to. Also, let me tell you, I just want to be honest with everybody. I have horrible taste when it comes to furniture. Like, I'll see something, I'm like, that looks great. That's going to look great in my living room.
That folding chair is
right.
very, very
and
nice.
And I show it to my wife, and she's like, trying to be nice, but she's
I never put this in my house.
She's obviously got the eye for that kind of stuff. But I've got a game changer.
Okay.
More furniture, their entire collection. You can't go wrong with anything. You see us sitting in these nice chairs. You look at anything in our studio here, it's all thanks to More Furniture. kind of use some furniture interior design PEDs, go to morefurniture.com. That's morfurniture.com. Get in on their fall sale and save some money while you're at it.
Easy. Said that's why Gambo blocked you, Bo. I don't know if that's the reason why. We're gonna get down to brass tacks on that eventually. We're gonna get down to brass tacks right now. It's official game preview and predictions time. Cards at Panthers. Before we do this, though, everybody go and smash the like button down below. It helps share the YouTube algorithm, all that good stuff. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, Frank Sanders, since you've already guaranteed a dub, let's start with you. Give me your unsung offensive hero, defensive hero, and unsung hero for Cards at Panthers.
My hero, let me just go backwards. I want to do it backwards this time. My unsung hero is Gregory Dortch. I just think, man, he's bringing so much to the table. I think that they're going to focus on, the Panthers are going to do a little bit more different. They're going to leave him open a little bit more. He's going to be one of those guys that I don't think they're going to respect, and he's just going to go eat. He's going to eat and put some points on the board. Zaven Collins is on defense. He's going to be my hero. I think that he's kind of figuring it out. I think he's figuring out how to be the Mike linebacker in the system, and also how teams are trying to attack him. And I think he's been making some good plays. And I think that's going to help our defense. If Christian McCaffrey plays, he has to make plays. We saw him catch the ball out of the backfield a lot, so he's going to be in the run defense as well as in the pass defense. I think he has to make some plays. Also on offense, I'm going with my boy Hollywood Brown. I think, look, he's just going to make 1 or 2 big plays. That's going to make the difference. I don't care if it's a 5-yard catch and he just dips and takes to the house, or he catches a bomb over top with them sleeping, and then it just passed the stats.
I love all your picks. Greg Dortch has lit a torch and a flame in my heart that will burn for all eternity at this point. It's an eternal flame from Greg Dortch. As far as Hollywood Brown, did you know he's second in targets in the NFL?
Keep it going.
Second in targets. That's wide receiver 1 shit right there. Wide receiver 1, Hollywood Brown, for the next couple weeks. Keep it up. I think that's only going to be a stronger connection between him and Kyler Murray. If he's, it seemed like last week actually, like we'd love to kind of boast that he did it against Jalen Ramsey, but it was like they were looking at him when Ramsey was on somebody else. Mm-hmm. And to take advantage of those matchups, fine. Do the same thing to J.C. Horn, an up-and-comer for Carolina. I love it. Just take advantage of those matchups. Play the matchups. If J.C. Horn's on Hollywood, go to Dortch, go to Rondale Moore. Oh. Just move it around. Yep. I think that's a recipe for success for the Arizona Cardinals. But and then Zaven Collins, I completely agree. It's weird when he gets on the field. It's like he gets better.
Mm-hmm. It's funny how that works out. Maybe try the same thing for old number 9. All right, Bo Brock, you're on the clock. Prediction time for Cards at Panthers this weekend.
Will I say guarantee? Am I going to go?
You guarantee it right here, so you might as well go ahead and jump on both.
Namath on this? Am I going to guarantee a dub? They better get that W. I think it's a Kyler Murray game. It's K1. It's time to take over. I'm talking like 4 total touchdowns, and that's going to be enough because we've seen it, right? Matt Rhule coach teams are 1-in-25 when the opponent scores 17 or more points.
Oh, my God.
4 touchdowns. I'm not that great at math, but that gets you over that number, that 17 points. I like Marcus Golden to eat. They've got a rookie playing left tackle, one of the top tackles in the draft class. His Pro Football Focus grade sucks. It's going to be a time for the Junkyard Dog to get a couple sacks. I like Zach Allen also getting home as well. He's your unsung hero. He's been an unsung hero for this defense, for this dating back to last season, but this season mainly. I like Zach Allen to also get home. He's kind of an unsung guy. I like that.
I love your players. I can't see the Cardinals scoring 27 points right now with the state of this offense and the state of the field conditions potentially in Carolina. I want to believe that's the case, but I'm with Frank Sanders. I'm going to go low scoring game in my official prediction, but let's do a clean sweep, gentlemen. We're all on the Cardinals this weekend. I will also, Frank Sanders, guarantee a victory this weekend. I think Cards culture better than the Panthers shitty culture. Unsung hero, hey, Zach Ertz. Let's be the Zach Ertz that got the robust contract in the offseason, not the guy that's dropping balls left and right. And it's a little different when you got to play the LA Rams and their defense with Raheem Morris. Cardinals, they're gonna do what they want. I think on both sides of the ball, the line of scrimmage is going to be a much different story. Mm-hmm. Bo, as you mentioned, Marcus Golden, unsung hero. Let's get your first sack, big man. You got your extension. A couple guys that got extensions here before the season started need to produce for the Cardinals. And then speaking of produce, hey, Vance Joseph, I've been on your ass, as has everybody else. Prove everybody wrong. Somebody in the comments said the Cardinals statistically have the worst defense in the NFL. Come out and pitch a shutout. Get a bunch of takeaways. Your defense does not have an interception this year. So change that this weekend. Embarrass Baker Mayfield. I know I'm putting so much of the ownership on the defense, but I think this is an ugly, win ugly kind of game with run game, Frank Sanders, defense, forcing Baker Mayfield in positions he doesn't want to be comfortable. He's completing like 53% of his throws. You have to key in on making him uncomfortable, just like teams have tried to do to Kyler Murray through the first 3 games. If you succeed on that, just like in Cleveland last year when the Cardinals thumped the Browns, Baker Mayfield, Frank Sanders will give you the football.
He looks bad.
Yeah.
Like but I'm saying he's really being exposed. Like they gave you everything. Hutz, they gave you Humps, Chubbs, they gave you every offensive receiver that you wanted that was top tier in the league. OBJ. And, I mean, just saying we can name they had a hell of an offense in Cleveland. And then he comes in, he just beats out Sam. Like he didn't beat anybody amazing.
Sam Darnold got hurt too.
I mean, but he won the job, right? So, but like he looks like he's really being exposed. Like you got all the rah-rah, the shish boom ball. You got a good conversation. You're a great leader with your mouth, but your arm doesn't match.
Yeah.
And it's displaying. It's really bad. Like it looks like when you don't have the pieces, when you had the pieces, you were bad. Now you don't have the pieces, you look even worse. And I think that's just a slap in the face, man. The Cardinals should come out, and I agree with you defensively, man. Vance got to come up with some stuff. He knows how to get to Baker, and he knows what would rattle his cage. And I think if they do that, we'll get some picks, and that would be absolutely fabulous for the Cardinals, man. To get there, to come back with a win on a long flight. These guys can soak that in and get that feeling, see what it feels like on a flight. When we finally got wins with the Cardinals, man, and we were on the road, it was the best flight home. Yeah. And the guys kind of, I mean, it didn't help the next week, but shit, it was the best ride home on the plane.
Baker in his last 5 games, the completion percentage is in the 50%. It's 7 touchdowns, 7 picks, and he's taking care of the football with the Carolina Panthers. Just 1 interception, so threw a lot at the end of last year. And then he's also put the ball on the turf a lot. And when you look at the junkyard dog, he's so good, kind of just batting that football on the ground. I think that's a good opportunity. Hopefully they'll still get a pick in this game. I see some questions about Trayvon Mullen. I got to expect, as far as Vance Joseph told us yesterday, he absolutely believes Mullen's going to get defensive snaps after just playing special teams last week. He's going to play on the outside. That shifts Byron Murphy inside, and Marco Wilson, who's probably been your most consistent corner this season, he stays outside. I like that, and I also think it is conducive to getting that first interception.
So we gave our game predictions. We're going to start a new segment here on Fridays. It's called Isaiah Simmons Snap Prediction. Last week, he had 16 snaps. I'll start with you, Bo Brock. Over or under 16 snaps for Isaiah Simmons, the former 8th pick overall?
It's up to the Arizona Cardinals offense to get Isaiah Simmons on the field.
What?
And here's what I'll say.
That's a cop-out answer.
If the Arizona Cardinals can get up, and it's not going to be a heavy run game with Christian McCaffrey, you can get Isaiah Simmons on the field way over 15 snaps. If they make the Panthers offense one-dimensional and it's more passing situations and Baker Mayfield's dropping back 30, 40 times, that means you're going to see a lot of Isaiah Simmons. But if the Panthers get the lead and it's a having Christian McCaffrey day, then that doesn't bode well for Isaiah Simmons. But I'm confident in the Cardinals to get their shit together on Sunday and play with the lead. That bodes well for Isaiah Simmons. I think he goes over the last 2 weeks.
What about you, Frank?
I give him between 40, 45, 50.
I hope.
I think whatever happened between him and Vance and that little bit, that will change because you got to recognize what he brings to the table, and that in itself, man, they'll work that out. But I believe he's one of the best players you got to have. You're always talking about get the young guys on the field, get the athletes on the field. At least you give them a chance to use their athleticism. And I think that would be very advantageous for us to have them out there. 1 week off in the conversation and the stuff, how it rattled that team, the defense, that in itself has to show you that you can't be really selfish in these moments because you're playing against somebody, you got to go out and play.
You can just tell the pulse of the fan base, just not only our friends in the chat, but on Twitter, on social media. This is a losing battle for Vance Joseph. And I think, he's probably not on Twitter. I would hope not for his psyche, but just our fans, the fans in the NFL have never been smarter. Like we can see definitively him not playing. And then when you come in that press conference and you praise him like, oh, it's working out. This is just a beautiful relationship. And the Cardinals are last defensively and you have this top 10 linebacker not playing. It's like something's up here. Like cut the shit, Vance. Like either play him or don't. Preferably play him. But if you're not going to play him, don't sell us this narrative at pressers like everything's fine. Everything's not fine. What would be fine is you figure out the best way to utilize him, get him on the field, and let him make plays. Force fumbles, interceptions. Let him rush the passer. Let him make Baker Mayfield with his 6'4.5" frame uncomfortable. He is a machine out there, and he is a mismatch. Baker Mayfield is smaller than Isaiah Simmons. Make him make Baker Mayfield uncomfortable. That's what's most frustrating. I'll take the slide over as well. But I think this game is going to be close and it's going to be ugly. And I am just overly concerned that when the game is being decided, Vance Joseph, Bo Brock, for whatever reason, will not put his best overall players on the field, but instead the veterans, the aging players that he trusts more.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you didn't see that in Vegas, right?
Yeah, but I saw it last week when they needed a stop against Cam Akers and company. He was nowhere to be found, even after Zaven Collins' injury.
Yeah, it's strange. And I think when you look at the tape and people are joking about Jace Whitaker and what the over-under is, how many receiving yards he's going to give up. Tough day last Sunday. And I think the game film is, as reluctant as this coaching staff, this defensive staff is to play a guy like Trayvon Mullen because he's new to the system. They're like, it can't get worse, right? It can't get worse than what we saw. So,
and Jordan P. in the chat, Cardinals rank 32nd or close to last in every major statistical category. Like, what does it hurt to play rookies at this point? Now, here's what I'll say. Vance Joseph, Kliff Kingsbury probably think, well, we face 3 potentially elite offenses, and now we get kind of a lull in our schedule. If that's the case, then I need low-scoring affairs. I need takeaways. I need short fields. When's the last time this offense has been given a short field? And when was the last time you checked in and got a COVID-19 vaccine? They're free for everybody 5 and older. Those 12 and older are now eligible for the booster shot. All you got to do is visit azhealth.gov/find-vaccine for a location near you, Bo.
Everybody thought that was very professional, that transition. It was well done. Golf clap to you. Also, let's celebrate OGs and their game-changing Sleep Time Gummy. That's right. They've got the OGs Flavoring Dreams Sleep Time Gummy. It's aquaberry flavor. It's unreal. It's the 2-to-1 THC CBN ratio gummy. Johnny, you know what that means, right?
It's all good things.
It's all good things, right? Johnny went to weed college, so he knows exactly what that is. It's the compound that helps specifically with falling asleep and staying asleep, Frank Sanders, right?
I need it. You
need it, right? You're up at night. You're tossing, you're turning, you're thinking about this nightmarish offense and defense effort from the Arizona Cardinals. Don't fret no more. Get some sleep. Get that 2-to-1 THC to CBN ratio with OGs. Check them out and their other products online. OGs Brands. That's OGEEZ brands.com and IG. You can find their stuff in your local dispensary as well. You don't have to do it online if you're old school. And also check them. You got to be 21 years or older. That's it.
Yeah, and you can also check out GoPHNX.com for the work of myself, Bo Brock, and our many talented peers, including Howard Balzer, covering the Arizona Cardinals. And also cop a T-shirt in the process from the PHNX merchandise locker. We have the 2 hottest selling T-shirts right now. Hollywood Hill sign on Camelback Mountain, the touchdown celebratory T-shirt. Again, that's the PHNX merchandise locker. You can cop one of those for free right now if you sign up for a year membership, which is half off, just under $60. Go PHNX.com. This show, us 3 plus Damon Anderson, will be back live for the postgame, your premier Arizona Cardinal postgame. Don't watch anywhere else. This is the best one. Come Sunday afternoon.
Halftime show, too.
We are also doing a halftime show. Halftime, postgame show. In the meantime, like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review for anywhere you get your podcast. For Bo Brock, the great Frank Sanders, I'm Johnny Venerable here at the PHNX studios in downtown Phoenix. We will see you come game day. Peace.